Hey, hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Water for the Thirsty, the word simply, the word refreshing. I'm a conversation facilitator. My name is Jared, and with me tonight we got Courtney and Jerry. We'll see who else maybe will be joining us. All right, since the last time we met, we have been in the writings of Paul to the Thessalonians and to Timothy. And we've been in the Kings, and we've also traversed the Kings in the times of Obadiah, Joel, Jonah, and Amos. So our conversations are likely going to be coming from there. Fellas, how's it going? How's it been? Is everybody ready for a Sabbath rest?
Indeed.
Yes.
I could use one oh so bad.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump in to um, Second Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 3 and 4 was a little thing I saw that I think is beginning to follow me around. It's more of a hey, remember me type conversation, not a I needed to explore this and I'm struggling with it and I'm wrestling with it. So
So, Second Thessalonians chapter 3.
yeah,
Okay.
verses 3 to 4.
3 and 4. All right. What do I have over here?
Go ahead, if you're gonna read it in my version, NIRV.
That's what I had open. All right.
All right, good.
Cool. All right. Says, but the Lord is faithful. He will strengthen you. He will guard you from the evil one. We trust in the Lord, so we are sure that you are doing the things we tell you to do, and we are sure that you will keep on doing them.
Yeah. Before I go into it, what you see, what you hear, what stood out to you there? It's a real simple verse. It's a closing greeting in the end of Thessalonians. Um, there was just a one or two lines in there that was like, oh, hmm, whew, personal to me. But before I jump into what stood out to me, I'm just curious to know if it immediately jumps out to you, or if you see something else, or So I'm gonna ask it by saying, hey, you read those two verses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you think?
Um, For me, off the top of my head, I feel like the last time we got together, we were talking about, I believe it was David. We were talking about him, this prayer, asking God to sort of like to guard his the things that he says, or I think it's what he says, the way
Mm-hmm.
he thinks, and so forth like that. So I see that again in this reading here. Is this a prayer for strength and guarding from the evil one? I think with David, it was like kind of like it was like evil, like words, thoughts, or even company around me, like that, the influence.
Yeah. I saw that as well. Um, I felt like it was a. That's why I say that them ideas starting to follow me around.
Right.
How about you, Jerry? What you see? What you hear?
I went somewhere a little different with this. A couple of weeks ago, it had come up. Talking about it in the office, and I feel like sometimes the evil one is actually us.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
so God is very good at finding ways to reveal to us the problems within us that are causing us to then either do stupid things or get into stupid situations or whatever the case is. And the counterbalance to it was, I don't remember the reference where it talks about no man sins unless he's first led away and deceived by his own lust. And lust not just being lust, his own appetites is the literal
Right,
Hebrew translation, right? So it's like
right.
you develop appetites for things, or you cultivate like for things, and then that is what, if you're not careful, it gets you into all kind of trouble because you might think either you have a need which is not actually a legitimate need, and you try to fill it by fair and full means, or you have a legitimate need, but you're still trying to fill it with things that won't actually. So I kind of felt like, yes, he's talking about protecting you from things outside of you, but he's also talking about protecting you from you.
But
Yeah.
yeah. I saw a little bit something additional. I'm gonna take you back to First Kings 13, 122 before I share it with you. First Kings 13. I probably won't read 1 through 22, but the story is located in verses 1 through 22. So First Kings chapter 13. First Kings chapter 13. It's the story of the man of God from Judah. Courtney, you could read from verse 7.
Okay. The king said to the man of God, "Come home with me for a meal. I'll give you a gift." But the man of God replied to the king, he said, "What if you were to give me half of what you own? Even then, I wouldn't go with you. I wouldn't break or eat. I wouldn't eat bread or drink water here. The Lord gave me a command. He said, 'Do not eat bread or drink water there. Do not return the same way you came.' So he took another road. He didn't go back on the same road he had taken when he had come to Bethel."
Hmm. Go to verse 16. No, 15. Wait. Yeah. 13. Sorry. Go to verse 13.
So he said to his sons, "Put a saddle on the donkey for me." And when they had done it, he got on the donkey. He traveled on the same road the man of God had taken. He found the man sitting under an oak tree. He asked him, "Are you the man of God who came from Judah?" "I am," he replied. So the prophet said to him, "Come home with me. I'll give you something to eat." The man of God said, "I can't go back to Bethel with you. I can't eat bread or drink water with you there. I've received a message from the Lord. He told me, 'Do not eat bread or drink water there. Do not return the same way you came.'"
So I'm going to pause there and say what stood out to me in First Thessalonians 3 to 4 is Paul makes two statements here, at least in the reading of the NIRV. So Jerry, what I'm going to do before I share is say, can you read Second Thessalonians 3 and 4 in what version of the Bible you read normally?
Yeah, that's ESV. But the Lord is faithful. He'll establish you and guard you against the evil one. And we have confidence in the Lord about you, that you are doing and will do the things that we command.
Hmm. Yeah. So the reading of the NIRV adds a additional two words that for me made it stand out more. It says, "We are sure that you are doing the things we tell you to do." Full stop. And we are sure that you will keep on doing them. In the story we just read in Man of God from Judah, he did do the thing the first time he interacted with the king, tell the king I can't do it, and then he was faithful in that moment.
Mhm.
He ended up sitting on by the side of the road. The old prophet came and he gave him the spiel, and he was yeah, I'm not going to do it. Now the old prophet lied to him, and if I guess the old prophet didn't lie to him, he probably would have continued on his way.
Right.
But one of the things that are starting to, manifest and show in my readings is, you have to keep on being faithful. And if you're not, you don't get credit for what you did before. You get credit. You get. I wouldn't say you get penalized, but I don't like to say it that way. But the man had been faithful, but when he was unfaithful, God said, he didn't do what I asked you to do," because he didn't continue being faithful.
Yep.
And so it's what I have written here is it's not enough to do; you have to keep doing.
Yep.
Be faithful unto death. Um, And so it was, you know,
Two
you
things.
can't, yeah, I did some of it. So we didn't do, well, yeah, some of it.
Two things quick to add to that, Jared. In business development, we have this thing that you're only as good as your last sale.
Mm.
You have some salespeople, man, year one or your T1 month, one or Q1, they kill it. Massive numbers. You can't 6 months later, if them numbers not coming in, the company isn't gonna be like, well, once upon a time. Um, and it just takes me back to there's a text in um is it Isaiah boy where he says if if the righteous man lives righteously 99 years and in the last year of his life he basically wilds out, the 99 years will be forgotten. I'm like, yo, that's kind of harsh. But if at the time when you're being called home, you wilding out,
Yeah.
Mm.
you have to do and you have to keep doing this. Yeah.
That that sat in my craw and sat heavy on my chest. This week since the last time we left, when I read that, it's like, wow,
Yeah.
you gotta keep doing.
I guess that's why he said sufficient to the day, right? So as your days will be a strength, because he knows, like, all right, yesterday's yesterday. Today, now let's figure out how we get you to keep doing. And I think there's this book. Were we talking about this sometime? The Winner's Effect, where they
Perhaps.
said they said the more you win is the more you increase your propensity to win.
Mm.
With dopamine release, adrenaline, you get more clarity, whatnot. The problem is, the flip side of all that winning is that you then start to get hubris and you start to think, well, yeah, I don't need the same level of devotion or the same level of effort or the same level of discipline. It's like, I got this. And then that's when you start to fall off.
That's what you see in that story. The man was sitting on the side of the road under a tree.
He good.
And the old man was able to catch up to him, and he stayed on track.
Yeah.
Might have
Had
made
he
it
kept
home.
moving, he'd have kept moving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Not only that, the devil is come and chase you down.
Wow.
I
Like
mean,
Wow.
you.
This was not one shot thing. It was like, okay,
Oh,
I'll spin the block.
yeah, I'll come back. I'll try again. You know what I had? When I read the King story, I said, beware of the tack back.
Yeah, boy.
Even if you resist the first couple of tries and yield on the third, you're unfaithful and disobedient. No credit for the previous resistance is what I have here. He got no credit
None.
for his previous resistance, for resisting the king.
Yeah. It's like
None.
Samson, right? Samson cracks the third time, I think. Yeah. And what always struck me with that story is how it records it where it says he said to himself, all right, I'll get up and I'll get one bad again. He didn't even realize that the Spirit of God had already left him. I'm like,
Yeah, man. Gerald says, if you ain't dying daily to self, you might not be connected to Yah.
um,
Well, I would say if connection isn't firm. I resist the idea that it's not a connection at all. I think it might be a connection versus a, because oh, then again, Jesus tells the disciples, "Have you no faith?" He did ask them that. Do you not have any faith? So maybe there might be some something there to that. You gonna say something, Courtney?
I was trying to look up verses based on the words. So like you mentioned firm, which is interesting. That was in First Corinthians chapter 10, verse, I guess you could do 12 and 13. But it speaks of uh, being tempted. But as you were talking about um, the devil coming after you, like relentlessly, right? So it says in verse 12 of First Corinthians chapter 10, it says, "So be careful when you think you are standing firm. You might fall. You are tempted in the same way all of the human beings are, God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted any more than you can take. But
Mm-hmm.
when you are tempted, God will give you a way out. Then you will be able to deal with it. So yeah, I like when you said, yeah, it's like you guys are saying the same things, right? And it's like being firm, and um, just you got to be careful even when you're standing firm. I like when Rome talked about um, feeling that confidence, that hubris. I think about uh, just like training, like if you want to, let's say, I guess you could say dieting, exercising, lifestyle, and you'll be killing it, right? A couple months, and you're doing your thing, and then you feel like, you know what, I could eat whatever it is, like go crazy, like all it takes is just like, I'm gonna do that. And then after a while, you start to give yourself more allowances, like as time go on, to eat a little bit more. And
But they didn't see any immediate effects from that one donut. Nope.
yeah, yeah.
That
So
slice of cake went down nice, and it's like, yeah, man, I'll burn it off.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, it's not even a problem anymore. It's like, I'll burn that off, no problem.
Yeah, just stay on guard and stay on point. And then it goes back now into verse 3, the one that I started in verse 5 or 4, but verse 3 is what Courtney, what you're talking about. But the Lord is faithful, He will strengthen you, and He will guide you from the evil one. And so we trust in the Lord.
My bad, Gerald.
What?
Oh, Gerald, he said that's me. He said,
Oh, I didn't see
I
that.
think that's all of us, right?
that's crazy.
Oh man.
Imagine that in your spiritual life, right? Like you're like, yes, I said no, I resisted.
Yeah,
2 days later, bam.
yeah,
2 days later, you're given and you're eaten by a lion.
yeah. It's crazy.
I mean,
Oh, oh, thank God for God, yes, and for mercy.
oh man, thank God for grace. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
no, because you go on your thing. Well, I slip up this one time, but look, I had 3 resistances there.
Right.
De nada.
Yeah, we are sure you will keep on doing them. That keep on keeping on. You know that.
That's why I guess it's like when he says, "If you abide in me and my words abide in you," right? It's really about not just understanding lordship, but abiding in that lordship.
All
So
right.
it's like you have to figure out your system to stay in that place. Because if it's like when I look at the life of Christ, he had this system he was following every day. Where I think it says, was it what the third or fourth watch he would get up? So that's like what 3, 4 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I remember how they did it, and he'd spend the first several hours with his father in preparation to go deal with these bombers, right? And it's like that was just like his custom was every Sabbath. He's in the synagogue. He's keeping this system up to keep a system to keep yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I just think of how, be it, distraction, discouragement, delusion, something, the enemy will throw it at you to get you off your system. And then before you know it, to Courtney's point, you don't even realize, wait, is 3 weeks I miss gym? Wait, is 5 pounds I put on? Is
3 weeks I missed gym and 3 days, only 3 days that I over.
Mhm.
But I
Yep.
overeat so much that my calories count off.
Yeah.
And you would sometimes just like you catch yourself and you're like you think, oh yeah, well, it's last week I went gym. No, bro, it's like 3 weeks ago. Then your mind was just
Facts.
yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
still sore from that last time.
Man.
Just the letters to the churches in Revelation, his closing statement of, you know, be faithful, continue to be faithful unto death. He who overcomes, it's that perpetual movement. It's that ongoing, it's that present continuous. It's not, you win that. That's
Yeah.
nice. Good for you.
Yeah.
Will you do it tomorrow?
Oh, as he says he can't even make lunch without having to ask for forgiveness. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Guilty as charged.
But I like that point, right? It's like this is the Son of God, and he's still putting in these
Yeah.
hours, like, and you're looking at, when he comes around, everyone they're all looking at like, how is he? Like, he's just good.
How
Like,
you put in the work?
Yeah. You didn't put in the work, but yeah.
I think it's putting in the work. But I think a lot. I would argue that the Pharisees put in the same kind of work. But I think their motivation was different.
Well, they put in the work, but did the work on them? I don't know.
Right. So they put in the work, but they were putting in the work for the wrong. So I will go with this. They both put in the work, but Jesus put in the work because he really cared about pleasing the Father.
Right.
Right. The Pharisees cared about looking right in the eyes of people, or checking a box or whatever. It didn't have a relational aspect. Because I think about what I've heard people say about those 12-step programs. If you really want to beat that kind of chemical addiction, you have to find something that you value more than that and leverage that as your motivation to stay sober, right?
Yep.
And I think that's what you see with Jesus. I'm here to show that I love my Father, and that my Father, is important, and that I'm dedicated to him, and I will do what he asks. I'm here to demonstrate my love for the Father. It's not just faithfulness to doing things that are right, it's faithfulness to the relationship.
So he's remembering what matters most, not just what seems to matter now.
Right. What matters most is motivating his action.
Right. So regardless of what he's just feeling in that moment.
Yeah. We do a lot of what's, but we don't have the right whys. And if your why is not right, for example, think about the person who is, exercising as a way of life versus someone who's exercising to get to a certain goal.
Yeah.
Right.
So they can play
get to that goal.
Yeah.
What happened? Or if the girl don't like you anymore, are you still as motivated to go? Are you putting in the same level of work? I think our why matters, and Jesus's why is clearly a why of to prove that to demonstrate my commitment to the Father, my love for the Father, my faithfulness to my relationship with Him. I care about what He wants more than what I want, which is where lordship comes in, right? Because the whole idea of lordship is yielding my will, or to others, to one another, and making that His will more valuable than mine. To the discomfort.
So, what do you think about the Pharisees? Like, what do you think was? I mean, I have an idea. I think. Because they seem to were like they were trying to kind of prop themselves up. I think, kind of amongst everyone, like we're holier than
yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's what y'all.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
They were saying I was doing it because we want to be faithful to God, but they were really doing it to set themselves on a level above everybody else.
Yeah. Beyond reproof, right? Because it's like I think it was the Sadducees, Jared, who they would have this thing on the robe, almost like a scroll. So somebody's in front of them and somebody behind them reading out all the good things that they had done. I'm like, yo. And then you just from the way they would pray, right? I thank you, Lord, I'm not a Gentile or a woman. It's like, man.
So a level of self-righteousness that don't have any foundation in relationship, right?
Yeah.
Which is why God called them whitewashed tombs. They make the outside look nice because what you're really concerned about is how other people perceive it. You're not really concerned about the quality of the thing itself, because if you were concerned about the quality of the thing, you would clean the inside. You would empty the tomb, wash it out, spray it down, put some Lysol or whatever, and you're not just gonna paint the outside of the tomb.
Yeah.
So
that's a challenge, even with some I guess religious practice. It's easy to get into a ritual and then you lose the relationship, and then you can become so good at the ritual, so good at looking good that you never actually become good. But man, you in church Sunday, Wednesday, listen. But
Right.
Dad used to say you can live in a garage doesn't mean you become a car, right?
Correct. I think about what Gerald said there. Man, I do Bible study in the morning. I can't even make it to lunch. I think about, my experience. I think there was a period of time where Bible study was a thing to do, and it was Bible study. And when I started shifting to time with God, the significance changed and the experience changed and my level of faithfulness changed. But once it became, I have to read my Bible, it was a thing to do. It wasn't relational, you know. And so it didn't have, and it doesn't have the same effect. Like when I view it that way versus when I view it as, making sure I make time to spend with him, hear what he say, be interested in what is important to him, what does he want me to know about or be mindful of today, and then go and try and be faithful to that because I want to be faithful to him. That's a whole different dynamic than,
That's like the Sabbath for some of us, right? Where if it's like, oh, well, it's Sabbath and I need to do X, Y, and Z, as opposed to if you make it about rest and reflection with your maker, then it's a whole different.
You set aside time to be with,
Yeah.
to be with him, and because it's not just him, it's him and the community.
Yeah.
Because even the command says everybody should shut down and spend that time together, right? It's not just me and him off by myself. It's us and him. But making time for that. So yeah, I think that maybe that kind of is what shined through with the man of God for Judah. I can't do it. God said not to. And
Yeah.
that could work for a while.
Yeah.
But until it becomes.
But you see that even like
how can I do this great wickedness and sin against my God?
Yep.
It becomes that, just.
Yeah. Because that was even Eve's experience, right? Where she was like, well, he said not to. So I didn't internalize this. I haven't made this about this is going to mess up my relationship with him. It's just where he said, yeah. It's like if your parents threaten you with, you will get that backhand if you. That threat will only last so long because once you realize, wait, no, they wouldn't even know.
Or at this age, what they could do?
What they could do? Yeah.
What they could do? Now that motivation of being afraid of the slap is not going to keep me straight.
Yeah.
Now they can't slap me. You see my size? Come on.
I remember my youngest when she was 5. She's like, Dad, even if you give me licks, it isn't gonna do anything. Like, wow. And then she's like,
5?
Yeah, and she puts out her hand like wow, okay.
You must be giving her that.
The worst thing you can do them is take away their internet or their devices, right? There's like the wool is over there.
Yeah.
Man.
All right. I want to go next to 2 Kings 7 verses 19 and 20. I was on a call the other day for a Bible study, and they weren't talking about this, but they were talking about Gideon and Gideon's fleece interaction with the angel, right? Asking him, how can I be sure? And they were talking about God honoring that, and then, whether we need to stay in that place or not, or whatever. And I mentioned Zachariah and Mary and contrasted those other two stories. So you have Zachariah asking one set of questions when being told from the angel what God is going to do. Mary taking one response when she did that. Gideon taking a whole other response. And then I come across this fourth story in 2 Kings 7, 19 to 20. And I wanted to, I guess my question is, what lessons can we learn about God from an examination of these stories, all four of them? But let's start with the fourth one. 2 Kings 7, 19 to 20.
The officer had spoken to the man of God. The officer had said, Suppose the Lord opens the sky and pours down food on us. Even if he does, could what you are saying really happen? The man of God had replied, you will see it with your own eyes, but you won't eat any of it. And that's exactly what happened to the officer. On their way out of the city, the people knocked him down. In the entrance of the gate, he was crushed as they walked on top of him, and so he died.
Yeah. So the officer, just to fill the gap in the story. In this story, there was a man of God who was talking. I think it was Elijah, who was talking. Elisha, who was talking with the king of Aram, and telling the king of Aram what was about to happen, right? And the officer on whom the king was leading was like, "Yeah, so even if God do that, how that going to happen, right?" And it makes me think of Zachariah going, "How can I be sure that that's going to happen?" Or Gideon is,
Yeah.
"If it's really you telling me to do this, make the fleece dry," and you know, and I'm thinking about God's response in each one of these four cases, right? Because Mary doesn't do that. Mary does say, "Well, how exactly will that work?" She doesn't doubt what the angel is saying. She's just interested in, you know,
It's almost like she's seeking clarity, right? Not
well, she's looking for the
confirmation.
how. She's looking for the
Yeah,
how.
the how, yeah, yeah.
How's that gonna happen? Just and so, but what I see in Zechariah and is they doubted, they gained this word directly from God. Like in Zechariah's case, it was an angel who came to him in the middle of the holy place, right? While he was
Yeah.
praying, the angel come to him and tell him this. And he's still doubting whether what is being told to him is true or coming from God. Right? So it's like, what lesson is there? And that's also this guy, when he sees a God, is like, well, here's how you can be sure. You'll see it, but you ain't gonna get none. I think about what God does to him. I think about what God does to Zachariah, but I think about the indulgence that God has with Gideon, and I'm wondering, is there some one thing that I can learn about God from all of these stories? Um, because he doesn't react the same in each one of them, and I guess each one of them has their own context and nuance based on the personality and the intimacy of the relationship or whatever. But I'm trying to follow any kind of through lines between all the stories. And so I was curious about what you guys saw. And so it's four stories about an individual doubting or questioning a direct word from the Lord. And Zachariah, Mary, Gideon, and this Aramean officer.
It's like,
I kind of feel, Jared, like, and I mean, I'm still musing on it, but again, it's like some of them was seeking. The answer wasn't again an if, it's just a how. It's like, could you just a little clarity on this? I'm not doubting you. Just if you could, you don't mind explaining this, right? And then you had others who were kind of like, um, I don't see how this could even be possible. So it's almost like convince me. Don't give me clarity, you have to convince me.
Mm.
And it's like when you're asking for that convincing, um,
But
he's
Gideon asked for convincing, though.
I don't
And God indulged him with the convincing.
is it convincing or is it like again, is it clarity? He wants to be it's a fine line because it's like he's not doubting that God will do whatever he says he can do the 300 or do whatever. He's like, I just want to be sure this is God.
All right, let's go to Judges 6 and see what
Sure.
Gideon actually says there. Judges chapter 6, and I think it's around about verse 36. All right, we can read from verse 36.
Yes.
Gideon said to God, you promised you would use me to save Israel. Please do something for me. I'll put a piece of wool on the threshing floor. Suppose dew is only on the wool tomorrow morning, and suppose the ground all around it is dry. Then I will know that you will use me to save Israel. I'll know that your promise will come true. And that's what happened. Gideon got up early the next day. He squeezed the dew out of the wool. The water filled a bowl.
Keep reading till the end of 6.
Then Gideon said to God, don't be angry with me. Let me ask you just for one more thing. Let me use the wool for one more test. But this time, make the wool dry and let the ground be covered with dew. So that night, God did it. Only the wool was dry. The ground all around it was covered with dew.
Mm.
And, I mean, I don't know, man. This is like you said, relationally. This is really all right. Promise me this, right? Please do something for me. He did it. Then he's like, all right, don't be mad at me. But let me just ask you for one more thing.
Yeah.
What do you see difference in Gideon's posture to the man in First, 2 Kings 7?
Yeah.
I feel like Gideon had more of a relational approach, for one. And then I still feel it's even his asking, the way he's asking, his posture is more of, look, I just want to know that this is you giving me an instruction and not some crazy idea I'm having.
Mm. Mm.
Because you're not what's the word I'm looking for? You're not obligated to fulfill what I want, but you're obligated to fulfill your word. So I just want to be crystal clear. This is your word, not mine. That's what I think I'm getting.
And God would respect that. The guy in the other story, what do you think he was doing?
It's almost like, well, I we children, I ain't know all of that. All this pretty talking. Yeah, you want to show me that you're really a god who can do all this stuff. I don't know.
Is there a difference between doubt and seeking clarity? And seeking clarity, this, is there, let me ask.
Uncle Chat.
That's crazy. Because I like Jerome's answer. Right? He says, all right, I just want to make sure that you're sending me to do this. Like, I feel unsure about it. Because he didn't doubt anything. That first, he said, all right, you promised this was going to happen, that you're going to use me. And he says explicitly, this is, I know that you will use me to save Israel. I know that your promise will come true. All right. But he still, like you said, I'm sure, like about maybe, again, I like that. I was like, man, am I just, this could be, but I don't think he doubted the part about God using him to save Israel. Like, I don't think that was a doubt.
He
Like,
just wants to know that
both
it's
parts.
God sending him. Because I mean, there are times when I was convinced God told me to do something, and God is like, "Don't even call my name. That wasn't me. That was you being crazy 100%." You know what I mean?
Right.
What's Uncle Chat telling you?
Oh, I didn't ask chat. I was looking for just a definition for clarity and doubt. But I went to Luke 1 where the story of Zachariah is And Zachariah's response was, "How can I be sure of this? I'm an old man and my wife is old too."
Right. So he's questioning God's ability to do something. Because he's just looking at what's in front of him and he's like, God created ex nihilo out of nothing, but he's like, well, God, I don't really have much. She ain't really got much. How you going? I don't understand it there. I don't think you could. What?
Mm. And I think I see that same thing in this other story. He goes, what does he say? What was that?
Judges or Kings?
Second Kings 7. He
Kings,
says, suppose God pours down, opens the sky and pours it down. Even if he does, could what you're saying really happen?
Right. See? So
If
now
God
you're questioning God's
could you
ability.
really
Right?
deliver on what you're saying?
Yeah, you're questioning his ability. Which, if you think about like the three Hebrew boys, they're like, we believe, we know our God can, and we believe he will. But even if he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So they won't question his ability. It's like, if God wants this, it happening. This man is like, I don't know that he have the ability to make this happen.
Yeah. Okay, yes. I see that pattern between the two guys who experience some kind of, "Oh, you doubted me" type response, and Mary's response, which was not that I'm a virgin. I'm a virgin. That can't happen. What are you talking about? She was like, "Well, I'm a virgin, so how are you gonna pull that off?"
Because she probably thinking, if I wind up pregnant, somebody gonna stone me because they go,
yeah.
So give me a little assurance I'm not about to die.
Or that I have to go and do something illicit for this thing to happen, right?
All right.
Yeah. Man, it's that faith, man. It's like I feel like we're being called to have this faith in God going to do something at the end of the days, like where it's like he's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this whole thing new. I'm going to do that. I'm like, I feel like our faith should be in, he said he's going to do it. So trust that he's going to do it. Now, for us, where I know where we're looking at it, like, I don't know how it's going to happen, or I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to look like. But that's cool. But he said, I'm going to do this. You just have faith that he's going to make it happen. However he's going to do it or whatever. Hey, but he's like, trust in my word. I'm going to do this. I have the ability. Anything is possible with me. What I say, I can make anything happen. I can make all things happen.
You made a good point there, Courtney. Gideon's fleece test does not question God's ability to use him. It just questions, it's him confirming that God is really going to use him.
Yeah.
Because, you want to be sure if I'm going to go here, I want to be sure that you're sending me. I want to run off here half cocked, right? Yep. But he never goes into, well, you can't really use me. He doesn't do that. So let me get these comments in. Was Gideon in a no hope situation? I think he believed the situation was hopeless, but I don't think any situation is a no hope situation. I don't think I could think of any story that even Saul was not a hopeless situation. It became hopeless when he died, but as long as he was alive, there was hope. So yeah, where there's life, there's hope. So I would say no, it wasn't a no hope situation, but I believe he believed it was hopeless, which are not the same thing. He said something similar to what Moses said when God said he would use him. Yes, I think that is true. Gideon's response was similar to Moses. Similar, but not the same. Except Moses said, "No, please don't. Please find someone else."
Yeah, I stutter. So what's up with that? Let's not do this.
Right. Please. Yeah. Even if you're going to use me, may I be excused?
Right.
Well, in his case, he's the high priest. So how can that guy question a messenger? Yes, and that's what I used to. That was where I used to lean in on the story of Zachariah, right? Because not only was he the high priest, but he was on duty in the most holy place and an angel came to him in there with a word from God.
And you questioning it. As I
And in answer to his prayer. So
exactly.
Because he's probably had to been praying that prayer for years. Like,
God finally answers your prayer, and you're like,
how can I be sure this is going to happen since I'm old and my wife is,
So
I
he's
don't
leaning
want
on
to
the
get
arm
too
of flesh,
excited
right?
about it because
Yeah.
I want to be disappointed.
Wow.
None of these scenarios happen in a vacuum. Yeah, Miss Sharon, that's kind of why I've been exploring each of the stories, because I think in the stories we kind of get some of the things that need to be considered. They're not just you're right. They're not just happening in a vacuum. But I think even with the nuance of the story, I'm sure there's still. I believe that I'm looking still to see if there's a through line. Even through the nuance, is there a through line? That's all I'm processing. Is there a through line? Sharon says God comes with a resume.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeking a deliverer. I got you. Seeking a healer. Got that too. Man.
The way he shows up in the Bible, he normally establishes himself and then makes the requests, right? He doesn't make the request without having, shown up. Like, I am the God who brought you out of this, and that. So now, please do what I asked. You thought that was impossible, and I did that. So just
that's the average Tuesday for me. It's Wednesday. Come on, let's do this. Yeah? Jared, to that point you made earlier though about the faith thing, it's like when I think about Abraham, when God tells him, all right, go sacrifice your son. And the son keeps asking him, well, and he's like, don't worry, God will provide a lamb.
Yeah, come on.
Just keep walking. God will figure it out.
Yeah, so what's the takeaway for us? What's the application for us in that? And so I guess that's where I'm coming from. What's the through line in this so that when my situation comes, I can learn from these guys that would still be applicable to my experience, even though my experience is going to be very different and I have a different set of circumstances. And what is it that's true about their postures within the nuance of their circumstance? I think one of the things I'm noticing in the postures of the two people who doubted, I would even add Thomas to that. You know what was interesting? Hold on. I'm gonna call chat because he will be able to find that faster than me. But I remember having a conversation when I was in school about yeah. What was interesting was I found that in John 20, verse 27. Let's go there. Word study is a hell of a thing. John 20, 27.
Then he said to Thomas, put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Stop doubting and believe.
Right.
Thomas said to him,
Keep going to 29.
Okay. Thomas said to him, my Lord and my God. Then Jesus told him, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen me, but still have believed.
Go back to 24 and read it all again, 24 through 29.
Thomas was one of the 12 disciples. He was also called Didymus. He was not with the other disciples when Jesus came. So they told him, "We have seen the Lord." And he said to them, "First, I must see the nail marks in his hands. I must put my finger where the nails were. I must put my hands into his side. Only then will I believe." A week later, Jesus' disciples were in the house again. Thomas was with them. Even though the doors were locked, Jesus came in and stood among them. He said, "May peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen me, but still have believed."
Yeah. So what I discovered is that the translation doubt there is a bad translation because the actual word there is apistos, which is more precisely translated unbelieving, faithless, without trust or belief.
Wow.
So technically, the word used is not doubt in the sense of, and there's another Greek word for doubt, which is diakrino, which means to waver or doubt, which is what James uses in James 1:6.
Mhm.
Jesus is directly contrasting faith or pistis with lack of faith, apistos. When you say something is without.
Apostate, yeah.
Well, without, not apostate. I wasn't going there. I was just saying amoral is without morality.
Gotcha.
Asexual is without sex. So
Right.
apistos is without faith. That kind of is what I was referring to. So the translation is unbelieving or faithless. So Jesus challenges Thomas not just for having doubts, which is wavering and being uncertain, but for unbelieving. A stronger term than simply wrestling with questions.
So it should be faithless Thomas. So they're talking about doubting
Yeah,
Thomas.
because the word is not doubt at all.
Yeah.
Right? And the people who were reading it in the Greek would not have walked away with what we understand in English doubt to mean. Right? Thomas wasn't doubting. And you see it even in the way the story is written, right? Unless I see this, I refuse to believe, is what he was saying.
That ain't doubt. That's That ain't just doubt, I should say. Yeah.
And I think these other guys were closer to apistos than doubt. The two guys we're talking about, Zachariah and the soldier, the Aramean soldier. I think they are closer to doubt. I think Ms. Sharon puts it that we always need proof. Yes. You know what the opposite of faith is?
Dang, I feel like we said this before. It's like
Not leaving you in the waiting room today.
Not leaving anyone?
I'm not leaving Carrick in the waiting room today. I heard that pop. I was like, I'm getting it today. I got the notification today.
I've been there for like an hour, man.
No, live. Oh, Carrick, as you came on there, we just we were wrestling through 4 stories of individuals doubting, questioning a direct word from the Lord, and looking for true lines between all the stories. Because we've done the contrast between Mary and Zachariah before, and I was in another conversation where they were talking about Gideon, and then shortly after having a conversation about Gideon, I read the story in 2 Kings 7 about the Aramean soldier who the king of Aram was leaning on when Elisha told him, about the miracle that was going to happen and the bread was going to come and then the price of things was going to drop from one day to the next. And the guy was like, yeah, even if God was to pour bread down from heaven, how would that happen? And so we was looking for true lines about that. And we just now ended up on Thomas, who was recorded as being doubting Thomas. So we added him to the list. And as we were discovering Thomas, we realized that doubt is a bad word to translate the word that is used in Greek to describe Thomas. The word there is actually apistos, which actually, or more precisely, means unbelieving, faithless, or without trust or faith. And you could check it in Bible King James Bible Dictionary.com. Where is my? I don't have it.
That is different.
So let's go. That's John. What did I say? John. What was John 1? 2027.
Yes.
2027. So I was relying on my boy chat, but if I go to the actual thesaurus thing, he said to Thomas, "Behold, my hands and my feet, reach hither and thy hands, and thrust into my side, and be not apistos." Be not. King James actually says, "Be not faithless." And so the English doubt suggests wavering, uncertainty, right? And so we've now applied that to Thomas because they've inserted that word there. But the word that's there actually means unfaithful or faithless, because the word for faith is pistis, and this word is apistos, almost like adding a anti-a onto it, you know.
Can I ask a question as it relates to that? Is there
Unbelieving, incredulous, without trusting God.
So, given the fact that there actually is a word that exists, faithless is much different than doubt.
Correct.
Why not use faithless?
That's a good question.
If that's most closely, because it changes, and I wonder, as we've read and we've done this for years and years, like we found this in several occasions where the word choice used doesn't necessarily reflect the context or the word that was used in the original language, which then changes the context or how we read it and understand it, either severity or not. Faithless is much different than doubt.
Right. And I was wondering if we could say that Zechariah was demonstrating less of a doubting posture and more of a faithless or unbelieving posture. Because the response
because the way that God interacted with him.
Right. How he responded to him, all of that. Let's go back, Courtney, to Luke chapter 1. Because it's interesting. I just, we probably need to read the whole thing. Zechariah, we could go 18 through 20.
Can y'all hear that?
What?
Okay, never mind. It's an alarm going off outside.
I can't hear it.
It's going to go off the rest of the night. So.
Okay.
Good Lord.
No, we can't hear it.
Not like you all need to sleep or anything, right?
Exactly. It's just 3 nights straight.
Courtney, you're reading, but we can't hear you. So I don't know if the mic went out or you're on mute, or I just realized that your lips were moving and I couldn't hear you. While you're sorting that out, I will pull up Miss Sharon's note.
I'll put myself on mute and then pick a different mic from the list. It's like something that's not even connected. Anyway, all right. Zechariah asked the angel, "How can I be sure of this? I'm an old man and my wife is old too." The angel said to him, "I'm Gabriel. I serve God. I've been sent to speak to you and to tell you this good news. And now you will have to be silent. You will not be able to speak until after John is born. That's because you did not believe my words. They will come true at the time God has chosen."
Right. So the angel and all is saying he didn't believe him. That it was, it wasn't it wasn't doubt. Like the way he framed his words. How can I be sure since my wife is old? Is that doubt lack of belief. Is that
which was different, as we remember, we contrasted with Mary in that it wasn't that, it was like more of a humility or humble, why me?
yeah? Well, no. Mary asked, verse 34. You could go read it, Courtney. Same chapter. Go down to 34 and read to 38.
How can this happen? Mary asked the angel. I'm a virgin. The angel answered, the Holy Spirit will come to you. The power of the Most High God will cover you. So the Holy One that is born will be called the Son of God. Your relative Elizabeth will have a child even though she is old. People thought she could not have children, but she has been pregnant for 6 months now. That's because what God says will always come true. I serve the Lord, Mary answered. May it happen to me just as you said it would. Then the angel left her.
Yeah. Well, let me again, some good comments from Miss Sharon and Gerald here. I want to include them in the conversation. Miss Sharon says, could it be that we always operate in our senses and not our spirit?
Mm.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, we operate, well, I would assume that she's saying that we operate based on what we could see, smell, hear, taste, touch, our senses, what we, perceive to be real and can, get stimuli back from, as opposed to the spirit where it's intangible and you kind of have to live in that space of, faith and trust, walking by faith and not by sight,
We absolutely do.
Yeah.
Well, I absolutely do.
It could be faithless is a choice. I think that that
That's what Thomas seems to suggest, right? Because he's like, I'm choosing not to believe until and unless something significant persuades me otherwise.
correct.
Faithless is a choice.
That's interesting, though.
To my assessment of what you were saying. So we'll go back. Yeah. It could be faithless is a choice.
It's like,
faith is a choice.
Go ahead, Courtney. I would say both. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm just roll back up talking about Zechariah. And he's in the temple. This guy's burning incense. It's his turn to go ahead and do this. Then just an angel just appears, and he's all, typically see the angel. I'm scared. All right, cool. And he's like, your prayer has been heard. He goes down this whole list. It's going to be a boy. This is his name. He's going to have basically kind of Nazarite-ish with what he can eat, drink, filled with the Holy Spirit, same spirit and power that Elijah had. Come on. I'm like, that sounds great. What's the problem? He said, how can I not? I'm not sure. How can I be sure? What? Like God sent an angel to deliver that message to you? They acting like that's just regular. That's a regular thing.
We do it every day, dog.
I don't know.
So the reason I'm not going to lean into faithless as a choice is that Mary didn't make the same choice. Mary's question was very different. It was more like, how exactly does that work? Not, is it going to happen? She didn't disbelieve. She was curious about the logistics of it. And rightly so, because she's betrothed to be married. And pregnancy, as far as she knows, has happened with, sex. And so there's a lot of implications here for her, But she doesn't demonstrate a posture of disbelief, just curiosity.
But that's why I probably wouldn't lean to faithless as a choice. I think faith is a choice. I think it's easier to rely on your instincts. What is like to have faith, I think is a very intentional, is an intentional act. on your that one must make or one must choose to make, right? It's because you're believing in something that, I mean, the text talks about it, right? It's something that is not happened, right? It violates everything that, you know, the five senses that you have, that you've grown to know and trust, right? It smells this way, it looks this way, it touches this way, I hear this, you know, I said, like, all those different things, right? I think that's a much harder decision than to be faithless.
Mm-hmm. So let's say you have a believer in God and an unbeliever in God. Are they both making choices?
Mm-hmm.
So someone who believes in God, you would say has faith. Someone who doesn't believe in God is faithless. They're both making a choice of what to believe.
Or not
I
believe.
wouldn't
Believe.
I wouldn't say they're faithless. It's faithless is based upon the subject. Their faith is in something different.
Right. Exactly. But either way, it's still a choice to place your faith in something different.
100%.
All right.
I guess what I'm saying is that you're choosing the person that we're calling faithless is choosing not to believe in this,
Correct.
or
Yes.
how I kind of view it, they're choosing to
Believe
believe
it in something else.
in something else, right? The things that I have. I'm counting on what I have. These five senses, my experience, whatever it is, like what people have told me. I think that's way. Go ahead.
So faithless is not. So I'm interested. So I'm going back to the language here. I don't believe in the word faithless, but faithless is more unbelieving than without faith. Like when you go back to the
Agreed. Yes. I'm with you.
So how can we like contrast that with, let's say, the Roman centurion gentleman, where he's just like, I know that you can do this.
That's the thing. It violated everything outside. Well, I shouldn't say that, because he rationalized it to the system that he was brought up in, right? But even then, right, they were trained to do something, but they still don't know. Like, the only thing they're doing is like in the military. All you're doing is you're taking orders, believing that what you're doing is right.
Yeah.
Without any evidence, nothing.
Yeah.
There
I
are
think that's what the
weapons of mass
centurion was saying.
destruction.
What's that?
There are weapons of mass destruction in here.
I just thought it was just interesting. Like Jesus is like, man, like this guy's faith is like better. This is the biggest thing I've seen
Yeah.
and all around here.
So ChatGPT has posited a common thread in all the three stories. Because my simple question was, would you say that Zechariah in Luke 1 and the soldier in 2 Kings 7, 19 to 20 were akin in posture to Thomas and Apistos? And they said, yes, there's a strong parallel. And then they break down Thomas and they go posture, response, implication. And they did that for Zechariah and they did that for the royal officer. And then they put a pin and it says common thread. All three exhibit a posture of disbelief in the face of divine revelation, whether by angel, prophet, or the resurrected Christ. This isn't merely emotional doubt or a moment of confusion. It's resistance to trust, even when sufficient evidence of divine authority is present. In all three instances, the issue is not intellectual uncertainty, but willful resistance to believe. This is what distinguishes doubt example, and they quote this example of man in Mark 9:24, I believe, help my unbelief, from apistia, which is unbelief. The latter resists or rejects trust.
Sounds like a choice, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just asking another question.
What you got? What you asking it?
I asked, would you say Mary, the mother of Jesus, also in Luke 1, and Gideon, Judges 6, was similar or different? And I got affirmation, positive affirmation. It said, excellent follow-up on a crucial one. While Zachariah, Thomas, and the royal officer were rebuked or judged for unbelief, both Mary and Gideon also asked questions in response to divine announcements. However, their posture and how God responded sets them apart as distinct from a pistos type unbelief. And he says, let's unpack it. Mary, how will this be? Mary asks the angel, since I'm a virgin. Posture, Mary doesn't doubt that it will happen. She's simply asking how it will happen. She assumes belief in the message, but seeks understanding about the mechanism. Divine response, Gabriel does not rebuke her, but graciously explains. Contrast this with Zachariah, who asks, how can I be sure of this? A question rooted in skepticism. Verdict, Mary's posture is one of faith seeking understanding, not belief resisting truth. Gideon 6, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Give me a sign. Gideon's situation is more complex. His request for signs shows uncertainty, but he doesn't reject the message outright. He engages, albeit hesitantly. He's processing trauma and fear under Midianite oppression. Divine response, the angel of the Lord is patient and even honors Gideon's request for signs twice, offering a fleece. No punishment and rebuke, only encouragement and reassurance. Verdict, Gideon is cautious and afraid, but not disbelieving. He's more like a bruised reed than a defiant skeptic. His actions display fragile faith, not apistos. God distinguishes between doubt rooted in fear, confusion, and unbelief rooted in resistance or pride. Mary and Gideon are models of people who engage God with honest questions, not defiance. Thomas, Zachariah, and the officer show us that even religious people can fall into functional unbelief when they expect more proof than God's word alone.
Well,
Hey, I like that piece with Gideon. It's like Kendrick had just talked about that, like his experiences and his, just like even what kind of say environment he was in at the time would have caused him to have those kind of questions. I'm unsure because of
this is helpful to me because it's not just that they had questions, it's the nature of the questions and how they asked their questions and what their questions revealed about where they were. So having questions is not a problem. But the type of question reveals something about your posture. So questions in and of themselves don't mean unbelieving. And questions in and of themselves are not just doubt. They're not one or the other. Depends on the question. Michelle, you're gonna have to help me with functional apistos. Tell me more about what you're asking.
Functional apistos.
I think I got like
functional unbelief, yes. Because I have here Thomas Zachariah in the officer shows that even religious people can fall into functional unbelief or functional apistos when they expect more proof than God's word alone.
what about I know
Who?
I know Rome brought up Abraham, and I think that laugh part was also interesting. Like they kind of laugh, or maybe it was just Sarah that laughed when they were told about having a son. Just if I'm scaling it, I'm just trying to figure out where these things fit in there. Another example, like Elijah running, he was out running from Jezebel, and like in terms of faith for him, he had evidence. God was with him, with him. I guess he had that moment of um, I don't know if that's faithless, just doubt, fear.
So I'm going to ask that we pull the word faithless out and put unbelieving in, because faithless doesn't because of the way the connotations of less in English, it doesn't represent the idea of apistos fully. Because apistos is a contrast to faith. It's faith and then there's unbelief, and it's one or the other.
Okay.
So that's what that is. It's unbelief. So faithless is more of an unbelief than an absence of faith. At least that's my understanding of the reading here.
That's fair.
And here's why. Let's go to Revelation. Revelation. Revelation 21, verse 6 through 8.
He said to me, "It is done. I am Alpha. I am Alpha. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give water to anyone who is thirsty. The water will come from the spring, the water of life. It doesn't cost anything. Those who have victory will receive all this from me. I will be their God, and they will be my children. But others will be thrown into the lake of fire that burns with sulfur. Those who are afraid and those who do not believe will be there. Murderers and those who make themselves impure will join them. Those who commit sexual sins and those who practice witchcraft will go there. Those who worship statues of gods and all who tell lies will be there too. The lake of fire is the second death.
Jerry, read that in your ESV for me, please. But I guess read verse 8 in the ESV. Revelation 21:8.
It's on mute, sorry. You said 8?
21:8.
Yeah. Oh, why do I have? Yeah. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death.
Yeah. Okay, your version says faithless. Okay. The word there is the apistos. The root word is apistos, the unbelieving. King James translated as unbelieving. So unbelieving is a more consistent reading of that word. Although it's been translated faithless 4 times in the King James Version. So it's translated faithless in some places and unbelieving in others. 1 Corinthians 7:14, unbelieving. Titus 1:15, unbelieving. Yeah, I was just saying, I'm not sure faithless captures the resistance.
Okay.
Functional pistos defined as Christian while walking in doubt. No, not doubt. In disbelief. Refusing to believe. Thomas didn't doubt. And Gabriel told Zachariah, his response to him was, "You didn't believe me. Because you didn't believe me, you're going to be mute." He was rebuked for unbelief.
But Thomas wasn't punished.
No,
or rebuked.
He was rebuked, but he wasn't punished.
Well, not rebuked. Like, I mean, he was. I guess it was a light rebuke.
It was a light rebuke.
But he lived to fight another day. Immediately, as opposed to Zachariah, which is, it's.
They all live to see another day, except the officer.
The officer.
The royal officer, the Aramean royal officer. That's the story in 2 Kings 7.
Oh, yes.
Man.
So then how do you, contrasting that, because one of the things that we've had this conversation before, even recently I was talking to people, like, is it wrong to ask for more information?
I would argue
as long as you ask the question like Mary.
So I would
seeking clarification.
I would step outside of the question and go beyond to the posture that's driving the question, because I would say questioning is not wrong, but depending on your posture, your question is going to be formed, right? Mary's question was not from a place of disbelief. Zachariah's question was. Gideon's question was not from a place of disbelief. The royal officer's was. And so I wouldn't start with the questions. I would start with the posture that is driving the question. Because if you disbelieve, your question is going to be a disbelieving question.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. 100%, Miss Sharon, 100%. Thomas as an example for us in our work. That's why I was wrestling with, well, not Thomas per se, but these 4 stories. Because I was trying to find what that true line is. Because you say, well, is it the questions? Is it not the questions? Like, is it okay to ask God for a sign? Wrong question. That's the wrong question. The question isn't, is it okay to ask God for a sign? The question is, did I believe what God says? And then, depending on the answer to that question, any questions that come out of it would then be right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because a question that comes out of not believing what God says will definitely be a bad question. A question that comes out of believing what God says is not a bad question.
Yeah. You know that thing, Jargon, they say you start off bad?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ain't put no good money behind bad.
So what did chat have again? Those 3 points you said. It was posture, And what was the other two?
Sorry.
When they were comparing.
Posture, divine response.
Divine response.
Yeah, I could send you the chat. In fact, I will put the chat in the chat so everybody could check it out.
You know, it's like on those 3 points. We're comparing posture.
So it's in the chat for YouTube and Facebook, so you can pull it from in there, so you could see the little word study and challenge it with references and all of that. So Thomas was willful unbelief. I like the comparison table it has here. His posture was willful unbelief. Zachariah was skeptical disbelief. The royal officer was scoffing unbelief. Mary was faith-seeking understanding, and Gideon was hesitant faith. Thomas got gentle correction. Zachariah was rebuked and silenced. The royal officer got prophetic judgment. Mary, an explanation was given, and Gideon's signs granted patiently. Thomas was rebuked lovingly. Zachariah was judged for unbelief. The royal officer got fatal judgment. Mary was commended and highly favored, and Gideon had no rebuke. Ooh, that messed me up today. But it also liberated me because I've been wrestling with the significance of questions, and I think I got the answer to it. It's not the questions in and of themselves. It's the posture from which the questions are being driven. So if somebody who says, so I can't ask any questions, yes, if you can ask questions. But what is your posture when you're asking the questions? What are the assumptions that you are making, you're bringing to bear when you bring those questions? What are those questions being born out of? It's not just a question.
Mm-hmm.
Like the questions a detective would ask is different from the questions a researcher would ask, right? But they're both asking questions. Woo! All right. Yeah, I don't have anything more there unless you guys have additional thoughts or things that are coming to mind in relation to this. I think I have satisfied my own curiosity here. And I'm walking away with, reaffirming the idea that the opposite of faith is not doubt, but certainty or disbelief. Faith requires doubt for it to be faith. Faith embraces doubt because you don't have certainty. You have trust in the word of the one who's giving you. Well, it means with faith in God embraces doubt because there's that level of uncertainty about how God is going to do what he's going to do, but uncertainty that leads to trust in his ability, in his word, in his capacity, in his sovereignty, in his love. These people who are unbelieving, and it's interesting that the first category of people in the fire are those who are fearful and those who are unbelieving. And then we could talk about all the people who committed bad sins. But the unbelieving and the fearful are the first ones in the fire. That was interesting to me. And they stand up alongside witchcraft and idolatry and sexual sins and whatnot. They're just as bad. In fact, they're the first ones mentioned. They're first in line. Because, think about Jesus' statement to Thomas, right? Imagine the people who haven't seen and believed.
Jared, is almost like fear is doubting God's ability to do And unbelief is just doubting who he is. And so no wonder he's like, yeah, first up, you guys.
And if you doubt it, that's because you don't have a relationship, like you don't know me.
Yeah. Because he'll keep showing up and giving you his resume, like you said earlier, right? I am the Lord your God who led you out to the land of Egypt. Ta, 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 ta. Yeah.
Not only that, it's that I don't trust your concern for me. I don't trust that you have my best interest at heart. I don't trust that you know what you're doing. I know better than you.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's the so earlier today we were talking about trusting God with your salvation, your sanctification, and your satisfaction, right? Trusting that God's sacrifice for you is complete and final, that his work in you, even if it's incremental, it won't be incomplete, and that he and what he suggests for you is all that will satisfy you. But if we doubt it, not doubt. Yeah, if we choose not to believe any of those things, that's when you run off on your own and getting into trouble, right?
You go ask to make the statement. So faith can include doubt in the how, but not in the who or the what. As in a what is the thing to become. I could lean into that. Because that makes me think about the first instance of doubt was placed by the serpent when he told Mary, "You shall not surely die." It's doubting what God said, right? Because you didn't understand the how it works.
Yeah.
Right?
But you're also doubting who God is.
Tell me more.
Because the premise, at least to me, the premise of the what is that he's not really being fair. He claims he's this loving, benevolent, generous God, but he's keeping stuff from you.
Yes.
Is he really who he says he is?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a formula.
No, I'm not sure there's a formula either.
I think there could be disbelief in the how that's just as detrimental as disbelief in the who and the what, depending on what the situation is.
You have a point there, because if the how doesn't look the way you think it will look, you might be like,
What happened with Jesus, right?
Like, what? Sorry?
Jesus on earth didn't look like what they thought he was. So they were
you need to be an earthly king, set up a kingdom, make me viceroy, or
this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. That was like Peter's problem, or even Judas, right? Judas is thinking he's going to be treasurer or minister of finance. He's like, what do you mean a spiritual kingdom? What are you doing?
So to me, doubt is inability to be certain. Right? Let me go back to the definition of doubt. What is doubt in English? But my understanding of doubt is
that sounds pretty accurate.
Feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction, to be uncertain about. Yeah. So it's the lack of certainty is doubt. When God tells you something, your certainty is his word, not your ability to know the thing in and out. Right? Like when you have like a science experiment, providing all these conditions are in place, you can be fairly certain to a certain level of degree what the outcome is going to be. Right? There's that kind of certainty when you know you have that level of certainty. But with God, you don't have certainty in all the things. Right? You don't know whether he is going to do, if he's going to do, how he's going to do, but you know what he said.
Correct.
And so faith, and he does not provide certainty. His certainty is his word. Right? Correct. That's the only thing that's certain, that he provides that's certain. And so it's almost like he leaves that measure of doubt. Even with Jesus, I did this, I did that, and I did that. Now believe.
But that's the belief and the faith and all that. Like you have to have it.
They were like, give us more signs. This is why he says an adulterous generation asks for signs, because you already have enough, in his estimation, to believe. But because you're not certain, and he doesn't remove the certainty, that doubt persists, or that doubt is allowed to settle.
And the thing is like,
faith without doubt.
What's disrespectful about it is the fact that we have terms within the community like ask about me. Like
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
like you've like we I'm willing to, if someone says that to me, depending on who, like, that carries weight.
Yeah.
Unless they're bluffing.
Unless they bluff it.
Yeah.
But typically, if you ask about it, it might be like, yeah, he's. So, I look at in my own life, like there have been times where I've been like, this supposed to happen, da 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 da, and it's like, and then it's kind of like, I mean, like you haven't seen what I've already done, like, but how? But does it matter? Like, what I tell you? Shut up. I mean, he didn't tell me to shut up, but
No, he tells me shut up. Yeah. He's not
he's
savage.
like, be quiet, young man. But
Oh,
yeah, it's just like and that's kind of what he kept doing over and over again, to the point where, and it happens in our lives. Like it's just like, dude, like stop.
but
The house
that's
not important.
again, that's like the children of Israel, right? I just led you through the Red Sea. I just pillar, cloud, pillar, fight it. Da 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 da. Now we can't take those giants. Really? Not like.
So I want to throw this verse in to solidify Mezzo's idea about the interplay between doubt and faith, or doubt being uncertainty. So we're defining doubt as uncertainty, the presence of, or the interplay of faith and uncertainty. According to Hebrews 7, verse 1.
You said Hebrews?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I had that open. Nope. All right. Okay, Hebrews 11:1. Faith.
Read it 1 to 3. 1 to 3.
Faith is being sure of what we hope for. It's being sure of what we do not see. That is what the people of long ago were praised for. We have faith, so we understand that everything was made when God commanded it. That's why we believe that what we see was not made out of what could be seen.
Mm-hmm. Then he goes on to describe all the people who had faith, right? So that's the faith chapter. But faith is the Jerry, what's your version saying?
You said Hebrews 7:1?
11.
7:11?
11:1.
11:1. Okay. It says, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen."
Right? So you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't verify it.
Right.
Which means it's
But
uncertain.
you're convicted of it. Wow. Yep.
So faith sits in the space of uncertainty and doubt, which means that what these people are showing is not doubt, but a pistos, or unbelief, refusal to believe, whether it be skepticism or what was the other word that they used there to describe the type of unbelief that was being described? Scoffing. And willful, which is Thomas. Unless I see that, I'm not going to believe that. Yeah. Unless God come down and tell me with bright lights, neon lights, assassin sign, and put it in writing in stone. Unless I have nah. I'm not gonna believe it's him.
That's interesting. I think about Peter in that sense where he's like, "All right, I'm gonna hop out this boat. I'm gonna walk over to you." Then he has that moment of like, I guess you could say now we're using this definitions differently. It said, okay, maybe it was having some uncertainty about the how, like how maybe looking like how is this happening? Or
Mm.
How do you square Gideon?
Gideon was on our list. So
Gideon.
Gideon was is being described here, and I'm gonna borrow the language as hesitant faith. Gideon's posture, it says here, is a little bit more complex. His requests for signs show uncertainty, but it doesn't reject the message outright. He engages, albeit hesitantly. He's processing trauma and fear under midnight oppression. So, like, if you follow Gideon's story, the angel comes to him in the threshing floor, and then the next day, in the middle of the night, he goes and he tears down his father's altar. The people want to kill him, right? And the father comes to his defense, all right? It was after that, after he takes this initiative, believe in the message, because it's his belief in the message that led him to go and realize, all right, I'm going to take down this altar, right? So he demonstrated a belief. And he's like, all right, before I go a step further, let me just make sure I'm not, going on my own strength here. Let me confirm, right? So it's not a disbelief. And that's what he says. Like, if you go to his language, let's go there. That was Judges, what was that? Judges what? Judges 6.
Judges 6, yeah. 6.
I think like 636 to 40.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Judges 6. Gideon, and it even includes it in his praising. Verse 6. Gideon says to verse 36. Judges 6, verse 36. Gideon says to God, "You promised you would use me to save Israel. Please do something for me. I'll put a piece of wool on the threshing floor. Suppose the dew is only on the wool tomorrow morning, and suppose all the ground is dry. Then I will know that you will use me to save Israel. I'll know that your promise will come true." And that's exactly what happened. Gideon got up the next day. He squeezed the dew out of the wool. The water filled a bowl. Then Gideon said to God, "Don't be angry with me. Let me ask you for just one more thing. Let me use the wool for one more test, but this time to make the wool dry and let the ground be covered with dew." So that night God did it. Only the wool was dry, and the ground all around it was covered with dew. But that happens at the end of this other story about all this activity that he took. So it's I would like the word that our friend here proposed. It's hesitant faith. Even in his language, he doesn't scoff at the idea or willfully disbelieve. I like this. Dare we say unbelief? I think we like doubt and unbelief, doubt and faithlessness, because unbelief challenges us and forces us to accept the choice that we're making. Doubt gives us a little
wiggle room.
Faithlessness says, my faith isn't fully grown. It's not me. Unbelief says, no, I'm making a choice here. And we don't like to do that. Julian, so what you're saying is when faith in God is lost, the soul has no direction and no safeguard.
So what you're saying, when faith in God is lost, the soul has no direction or no safeguard.
Maybe no direction, but I wouldn't say no safeguard. I would argue, and this is me going off of the characters like Manasseh, the safeguard is life. As long as there's life, there's hope. And as long as you're alive, you can make a choice. It took Nebuchadnezzar 7 years to come to himself. And it took Manasseh 50 years. He was the most evil king. Like when you read about him, he was the son that was born out of Hezekiah's extra time, right? And then became the most vile, wicked king of all time. But in his last years, he was able to make a choice. So, to me, the safeguard is the existence of life, because God is relentless in his pursuit, and when we become adrift, it's something that we fully have control over to correct.
Yeah,
It's
I
my
like that
belief.
you said that, man. I think we always talk about the adversary constantly coming, seeking us, looking for us, but you put that in there too. God's chasing after us.
Yeah, I think what we read in the first set of verses in Thessalonians 3, 3 and 4, and you read it in your other verses that supported the idea that we are not tempted by anything except what is common to man.
Oh,
And the
so
belief that somehow our circumstances uncommon is, it's the same temptation, my
yeah,
will versus his will. That you could synthesize every temptation to my will versus his will. Don't care what it is.
yeah,
Insert temptation here. My will versus his will. And what it says is, but the Lord is faithful. He will strengthen you. He will guard you from the evil one. We trust the Lord. So we are sure that you are doing the things we tell you, and we are sure that you will keep on doing them. We have to choose in a perpetual manner, in an ongoing manner, to do the things that he asks. It can't just be we did it today. And I'm preaching to myself here, not to this is not for anybody else here tonight but me. um, Miss Sharon says, so doubt is what Thomas chose. I would like to suggest we stop calling Thomas's thing doubt. The word there is apistos, and that is not doubt. God said to Thomas, don't stop your unbelief and believe. Yeah.
It's also, do circumstances play a role?
Hmm?
Gideon, where Gideon was, where his role in his position within the tribe is like all of this. Does where you are play a role in this? Is there a level of grace given based upon where you are, your position, given who Zechariah was, who Gideon was, the position that Mary was in, like all that. Does all of that also play a role in the context? Is there an expectation that based upon my relationship I have with God that there's some things I shouldn't question because Bama, you've been in it for a while.
Yeah.
You've seen me.
I would say it this way. This is why I don't like the word perfect from the standpoint of without fault. I like perfect from the standpoint. Perfect, actually, the word that translates perfect in the Bible for us to aspire to is not absence of flaws. It's maturity, be fully formed, be fully
Correct.
developed. And
Correct.
so I think about, children maturing, and the expectations you have for a 2-year-old are different from the expectations you have for a 12-year-old, and the maturity level and the things. And so how you would deal with a 2-year-old doing something is different from how you would deal with a 12-year-old doing the same thing versus a 17-year-old doing the same thing, right? And so I would answer that like that. That he's not only factoring your intimacy, but the stage that you should be at in light of your maturity process. You shouldn't be a 17-year-old acting like a 2-year-old. And so he holds that. I would argue that Zechariah demonstrates that he holds that kind of expectation, a similar type of expectation.
Yeah, I feel that.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we right on 10 o'clock, and I feel like we have landed the plane on this, unless anybody has additional thoughts, comments, questions, feedback. If not, then what I will ask is, we didn't just have good conversation. We want to make sure that this conversation has value for you next week and the week after that until we come back. So if you had to take away one thing that you're going to chew on, apply to your life, think about, process some more, one thing that you're taking away, I want you to share that now in the chat so we could all, participate in those thoughts, so that we could also concretize those thoughts and not just, have them be nebulous in our minds, or we single out a thought, we communicate it openly, so kind of lock it in. So we go around the room. I'll start with Courtney and then go to Jerry and then Kendrick, and then I'll go, and then we'll take whatever comes in the chat.
My takeaway, I just love that we were just really breaking down just the commonly used words as usual, and kind of gives everything a different lens when we look at the verses again. Have a better understanding of faithlessness, doubt, and so forth. That was great. Again, having just always makes me have a better understanding of what faith is. I love what we talked about posturing with when we're framing questions. So when we're coming to the Most High about things. And personally, I think it was interesting too, because I think that even in our relational pieces, with humans, I think there's sometimes some folks would think they speak as if their questions are coming innocently, like you might. And it's
I can't ask a question.
Yes. I'll be like, yo,
that's not just a question, right?
Thank you. Yeah. So that was my takeaway. I was like, yo, stop it. Stop it.
That was my second takeaway.
Like, yo, it's just a question. I can't ask questions. It's just a question. Like, yeah, okay.
How about you, Jerry?
Oh man, there could potentially be so many. It was just fire, but that unbelief really is a willful choice. It's like you're flying in the face of God, right? Yeah. So I'll focus on not doing that. Let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
What we're not gonna do, yeah.
Kendrick?
There's an expectation that you pay attention to what I've done for you in the past, and you remember who I am.
Would you say there's an expectation of intimacy?
Yes.
Jared, before you go, there's a part 2. let's not do the unbelief, so that you can keep keeping. Keep keeping. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is my first takeaway: is keeping on. How did I write it down? It was more reaffirmed today, but no credit for the previous resistance. Yeah, it's not enough to do. You have to keep doing. That's my first takeaway, and then my second takeaway is it's not just a question. It's not just a question. All right. I got 3 takeaways in the chat. Gerald's first. Thomas didn't doubt, and don't be like the man in that story. We have to finish the race. Absolutely. My takeaway is that when God says it, I have to believe in God and His word, what He says. Not yet sure if I need to know the how. It's nice to know. I agree. I'm not sure if we need to know. Sometimes that's helpful. Not resisting the revealed word of God. Ooh, I love that phrase. I'm going to chew on this a bit more. And Gerald revived the old faithful from Sharika. Stop sinning. Well, that's Sharika or Judith? That's Judith. Stop sinning. That was Judith. Sorry.
Yeah, Judith the goat.
All right. Appreciate this conversation. This was deeply personal for me, so wasn't merely intellectual fear today. I'm feeling like I'm being stalked by this idea. All right, anybody want to lift us up in prayer to close us out?
Yeah, I could try.
Thank you, Courtney.
All right. All right. Dear Father in heaven, we want to just thank you for this group, this community. We're so grateful that we're able to meet today and read the Holy Word. And I actually that you just help us to seek a deeper meaning, an understanding of the words found in the Holy Book. Pray that you will watch over us as we, going back into our days, as our weekend, and coming weeks to the next time we meet. Pray that you'd help us to feel your love and embrace and your guidance in everything that we do. Just ask you, Father, that you would help us to always remember to draw strength from the words in your book. Just say, I'll pray, man.
Amen. All right. The next time we gather together like this is going to be August 1st, the first Friday in August. We're on every first and third Friday. That is going to be the last episode at the end of year 11. And then after that, the third Friday in August, we will kick off our 12th year, Kenrick. 12 years.
Wow.
First and third
That's
Friday.
crazy.
Yeah, man.
That's wild.
Yeah, man.
Changing lives.
12 years. Wow.
Getting old.
Miss Sharon had one more follow-up takeaway. It was no fear.
That's what's up.
No fear.
Yeah.
And with that, we out. If you don't have a copy of our reading plan, it's available in the Apple iOS store. It's not currently available in the Google Play Store, but if you can't get the Apple stuff because you're a Google Android person, at the bare minimum, you can download a PDF from the website waterforthethirsty.com. Just search Water for the Thirsty in the Apple iPhone store. You can download it for the iPad and whatever. We just read the Bible reading every day. It's for those who may not be familiar, it's 2 chapters from the Old Testament, one chapter from the New Testament, and then a Psalms. Yes, and then a Psalms or Proverbs. We go through the Bible. They are Proverbs, and we go through the Bible. It's a yearly reading plan. So when we come through, we would have read the Bible through in a year, and you would have read the Gospels twice. So yeah. If you'd like to join us on camera, just shoot us a message on Facebook. or yeah, on Facebook or Instagram, because we upload there as well. And we can organize to make sure you can participate in the conversation online if you're interested. You know, if you're reading along with us and want to share a question or insight or anything that's that comes as you do the reading. All right. Until the next time, drink up. We out.
Drink up.